Welcome to Come Well, to Am I as I Am, as you are. Visit asyouare.com today and purchase your products, book our services and consultations, and enroll in the classes and courses. Visit asyouare.com today. Now, without further ado, let's begin today's show. Yes. Welcome back. Welcome to Come Well. Welcome back to Am I as I Am, but most importantly, as you are. Today's video show topic, we're going to be touching upon, I guess you can say, the hidden powers, the hidden divine powers of imagination and play. Imagination and playtime. Things that we all can relate with as children growing up. And the importance of imagination, the importance of playing. There's a true hidden divine power in both of these dynamics, both of these principles. And this is what today's video is going to be touching upon on why you shouldn't, it wouldn't be recommended or suggested to ever veer too far from your imagination and from your willingness to play in life. All elements play in life. That's why we're here now having this moment, because elements that we can't see are constantly at play with each other. Okay? So I guess you can say play is also a form of connection and communication. Always be willing to play. Be soft, be graceful, be light-footed, light-hearted, light-minded. This is how one gains enlightenment, true, divine, deepest enlightenment, by not veering too far from their imagination and their play mode. Don't you understand this? You understand there's no such thing as being an adult or a senior citizen or an older person. You just become more experienced. But more experienced is not necessarily age or older. It's just being more experienced within the experience itself and experimenting within your experience to find the most highest peaks for the most access to your light or your light cartridge, which is what you call your soul. Okay, so let's dive right into this. A few points I want to touch upon. The first point is, why are you so serious? Why are you so serious with life and in life? What is the seriousness for? What is it doing for you? Or better yet, what is it taking from you? What is it taking from you rather than what is it doing for you? A very important divine innocence has left most of us during the growing up stage of our lives, from a child to a preteen. Keep this in mind. A child is supposed to be just playing and imagining from birth to at least 7 to 8 years of age, before it's given any kind of chore or responsibility. This is ancient science. It's what our ancestors knew. This is the divine purpose of the first chakra, or the divine purpose of the first chakra development, meaning to at least leave one chakra unbothered, untouched, unscathed, transparent, pure, and innocent. For what reason? To provide graceful assistance, guidance, and navigation for the remaining 6 later within its developing experience. Because once the first chakra is made pure, which is your Shakti, your divine feminine, or your divine feminine force or mother force, the last chakra, which is the crown, is pure, which is your Shiva energy or your Siva energy, your divine masculine or the masculine force or the fathering force. The father is the further, the one further from the first. Okay, so just to understand and get that understanding, the first chakra was made clear, pure, innocent, transparent, because the first would add or would provide assistance to the other 6 or other 5 or other 4 later on in one's life. At least one was untouched, pure, innocent, and transparent. It can provide guidance, assistance, and navigation for the other 6. So this is why we let a child chill, imagine, play, do whatever the hell they want from at least birth to at least 7 to 8 years of age. Okay? These 7 chakras are 7 spiraling potentials, what are known as 7 spiraling potentials, from birth to adulthood. These 7 potentials are animated as 6 expressions. Understand what I'm telling you at this moment, because I'm going to break down little short examples of what these things, how these things kind of tie in together. So once again, these 7 chakras are 7 spiraling potentials from birth to adulthood. These 7 potentials are animated as 6 expressions. These 6 expressions are play, imagination, thinking, concern, worry, and then stress. These 6 expressions go through, as well as in and out of, 5 mental filters. These 5 mental filters are delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. Okay, so understand the 7 goes to the 6 filters through the 5. I teach this in class. Depending upon how much attention each one is given at certain points and periods in time, dealing with the 5 filters or the 5 brain waves or the 5 frequencies of the mind, delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. Depending upon how much attention each one was given at certain points and periods in one's life, determines the ease or difficulty of your manifesting results and capabilities. All of these grouped mental identifications, all of them, the 7, 6, and 5, all of these grouped mental identifications stemmed from the understanding of the right brain hemisphere, which is creativity, intuition, grace, and reception, as well as the left brain hemisphere, which is logic, rational thinking, calculating, and figuring. Okay, so the 7, 6, and 5 came from an understanding, from a stemmed understanding of the two, the left brain hemisphere and the right brain hemisphere. Okay, I'm giving you ancient science, ancient Sematawi. Throughout this whole understanding, there was always something that stuck out to be the most magical or profound. And that thing was the power of one's imagination. Imagination in many cultures was seen as God itself. Take that in for a minute. Imagination by itself was seen as God itself. So your imagination was considered God. was seen as God itself. And the play or playing or playtime was perceived as God in motion. So, imagination was seen and known as God itself, and playing or playtime or play was seen as God in motion. Okay? Keep that in mind. Infants, babies, and children were observed, analyzed, and studied vigorously from the elders and the ancient priest sectors for the deepest understandings of life, to witness, experience, and understand who and what the Divine One was in its purest state of being. So babies, children, infants, these stages were studied around the clock. Not even 24/7, 25/8. They were stared at. They were studied. They were analyzed. Infants, babies, and children. They were in their zone from birth to 7 to 8 years old. And they were just being studied, observed, and analyzed by ancient priests in certain sectors, sages, seers, that would watch them, not just for safety and danger, but they're not, to them, they're not watching an infant and baby and a child. Remember, our perception was different then. We were studying God, as well as studying our own chemistry at a primal state, a primal beginning, or primal state, because primal means beginning. And during these studies, this is when I'm going to break it down, these specific results became shown and known. The playing stage is the baby's first stage. They play. We played as children. So play is the right brain. Remember, the right brain is the feminine energy, the feminine brain. Creativity, intuition, grace, and reception. That's the right brain. The baby was right-brained when they're in play mode. When the baby is playing, they're in their mother mode. They're in their feminine energy mode, which is the creativity, imagination. And this is known according to the brain wave, or the filters of the 5 filters of the brain, as delta and theta. Delta is deep restorative sleep, and theta is deep relaxation and creativity. So when a baby was in play mode, or an infant was in play mode, they were in their right brain, being their delta and their theta brain wave, which is delta being deep restorative sleep, and theta being deep relaxation and creativity. This can be known as well as timelessness. An infant or a baby is just in timeless mode. They're timeless. They're timeless phenomenons. They're timeless things in this space at this time in their growth and development. The next stage is imagine or imagination. After a child plays enough, they begin to develop an imagination. They come with a specific kind of imagination, but they can't yet identify yet. So they play. As they play, this phenomenon called imagination begins to produce or begins to create. So after the baby plays, which is from 0 to 7, or 0, you can say 0 to 4 years of age, 0 to 3, maybe birth to 3 years old, birth to 4 years old. This is the timelessness aspect of them. Now from at least, you can say, 4 years old or 5 years old to about 13 or 14, they're in the realm of imagination. This is still within the right brain because imagination deals with creativity. Being creative is using your imagination. So they're still in their right brain. Now, this is also known as delta and theta, but also the alpha state. And the alpha being uh, relaxation, um, relaxation and wakeful rest. So, delta, theta, alpha, they go from deep restorative sleep to deep relaxation and creativity, and then relaxation and wakeful rest. So they're in between these three filters of the five filters. They're in between these three, between the age 4 and 13 or 5 and 14. They're in their imagination mode, or should be in their imagination mode. Now, this is what we would call basically timelessness, still timelessness as the first thing, which is play, but it's timelessness kind of digressing into a specific timing about to happen. So they're going from timelessness, drifting over slowly into a time capsule because the playing matures into imagination. Now they're a preteen or they're a teen, 12 or 13, in between there somewhere. You can say preteen to teen. Now, when this happens, they go into think or thinking mode. As I said before, play, imagination, think, concern, worry, and then stress. The 6. So we got the play out the way, we got the imagination out the way. The third thing is they begin to think. So when our playing matures into imagination, our imagination begins to get shut down because somebody has us to think. They say, think now. What is 1 plus 1? What is 2 plus 3? What is 4 plus 5? Think. Think about it. Was this right or was this wrong that you did? If I told you not to do that, think. Should you have done that? Should I punish you? Now we begin to go into thinking mode. When we begin to think, this is very important for those of you who have babies or who want to have babies or who has a child still or a preteen or a teenager still to understand, or grown damn child, whatever. Understand how these things sprout and how other ones begin to get shut off or shut down as one develops and grows, depending upon how you reared them, not how you raise them. We raise animals. We rear children. We teach children. Okay, so depending upon how you rear them, these are things to keep in mind. We first play matures into imagination. Imagination begins to get shadowed over by one beginning to think for the first time. Thinking is still right brain, but now it's crossing over into the left brain, which means they're going to have to begin to calculate and figure things out by logic, rational thinking. Was it right to do that after I told you not to do that? Why would you do that if I told you not to do that? So the right brain is slowly crossing over into the left hemisphere now and beginning to think, which means that the right brain is beginning to become shadowed over. That's how true it is. I don't even know what just happened to the camera just now, but that's how the spirit talks. It's beginning to get shadowed over. When we begin to think, we're no longer in delta and theta no more. We're not in deep restorative sleep, and we're not within deep relaxation and creativity, because when you think, you're not really being creative. And I tell people all the time in my classes, as well as consultations and so on and so forth, thinking and thought skipping are two different things. Two totally different things. Somebody may think that they're thinking, but they're actually thought skipping. But nevertheless, these are still under the same umbrella, but just different. One is a heavier degree, one is a more lighter degree, or a more free apparatus. Thinking is a free thing, But thinking is also a graduating and a suspension from imagination. Okay? It's becoming more harder, more brittle. So their bones go from being rubber to being more hard, more dense. Because that's, well, I don't want to go too hard into it because I'm not gonna give all my Jews away on YouTube. Y'all gonna have to pay for that. Consultation classes, all that. I got y'all. My consultations go for like an hour or two. It says on the website, you pay for an hour, 45 minutes. Ask anybody, all my consultees. Sometimes you got to tell me to shut up because I keep going. I'm channeling in the moment and I'm just receiving and I'm pulling and I'm spewing out and conveying what the spirit and the soul is telling me to give to you. So you definitely get way more for your money during my classes and consultations. And I appreciate y'all for paying for the products. Y'all got me going to the post office like every other day. Y'all really treating this asyouare.com like Amazon.com. It's appreciated and I'm glad I love the feedback. I appreciate the feedback just as much as I appreciate the payment because it keeps me on my P's and Q's and my toes and understanding of what I'm doing and creating and how it's actually creating great, magnificent, amazing results in people's lives. I mean, I was talking to one of my students the other day, one of my attainees, one of the guards I create in the classes, and he told me his mom's had transition and this nigga was chill. He was like, I was prepared for that. It's no big deal. That's what we came here to do. We came here to come and go. That's it. And this is one of the deepest ones I deal with. One of them, many of them, but it's one of them, and he's coming to the enlightenment and realization of certain things, and he's brought more lightness to his heart. Not saying that he doesn't miss his mother, but he opened up his mother inside of his heart, the mother goddess, as well as he has his mother, which is his lady, his woman. Well, I'm going too far, of course, but let's get back to the message real quick at the moment. I'm going to have a lot more longer things. I'm going to actually have a lot more lives with people during these shows. I'm going to actually go back and forth and talk. Because like I tell everybody all the time, I'm not used to talking to a camera on YouTube. I'm used to conversing with people one-on-one, building with the gods, building with the monsters, building with the masters, building with the elders. This is what I do. This YouTube thing is a little bit new, but it's okay. It's cool. I'm getting used to it somewhat so at the moment. Back to the point. To think from right to the left brain. So it's not really too much in delta, theta, and alpha. It's more like alpha, beta. Alpha going from relaxation and wakeful rest, and beta becomes alertness and active thinking. So think or thinking, which is the third, play, imagination, and thinking. When you have a child begin to think, you're crossing them over from the right brain, slowly going over to the left brain. They become logical and rational. They begin to think, and they begin to think or vibrate through these next two brain waves, which is alpha and beta, which is where you get the alphabet from, the word alphabet. They go into alpha beta mode. That's why we begin to think how to spell and so on and so forth. I'm not gonna get too far off the subject. I can get real, keep veering off. But you're now teaching them or initiating their mind to begin to go into alertness and active thinking mode. The more and more we descend from delta and theta, the more harder and brittle one becomes, and the more one begins to personalize their self, which creates a personality. And this personality projects these characteristics that project onto a mirror or water or glass and begins to identify itself. So you can see personality identification. These things begin to happen when one begins to personalize their thinking patterns, their thinking ways. There's nothing bad or good to it, nothing right or wrong to it, But these are just things to understand because this is a part of our growth and development. And the right brain is what we have to return back to at this stage in our life as adults, or one who wants to return back to their innocence, to their purest form, their most pristine state of being. So this is when the personality begins. Now this is about timing turning into time now. Now they're formulating into a time capsule. So we went from timelessness, which was playing or play mode and imagination, now going into a timing and a time capsule, slowly going into a time capsule from one who was timeless to begin with, you. The fourth filter is concern. So thinking was graduating from right onto the left. Now concern, you're just in the left brain. You are now within the left hemisphere of intelligence. You're there now. You've crossed over. You're not crossing over no more. You have crossed over into the left brain, the masculine brain, which is logic, rational thinking, figuring, and calculating. Because now you're in concern mode. Whether you have children, whether you have a job, you got to pay rent, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to take care of these things. You are becoming concerned now. Now, this is known as the two brain filters of beta and gamma. Beta being alertness and active thinking, and gamma being the last fifth filter, which is high cognitive activity, attention, and problem solving. High cognitive activity, attention, and problem solving. This is when you begin to solve problems. Now so if you're doing problem solvings, that means that you perceive you have a problem to be solved. And if you have a problem, that will imbue or enhance the concern. So then you don't progress, you begin to now degress. Now you are officially stuck in time. Officially, which is the left brain, or just one side of the hemisphere of the brain. Now the fifth one is now you begin to worry because you're concerned. So concern graduates into a degressing state. It graduates into a degressing state of worry, which you are officially in the left brain, which is straight gamma mode. You're in the gamma wave. You're no longer beta, you're no longer alpha, you're definitely no longer delta or theta. You are now stuck in gamma mode, which is why you see the Incredible Hulk, the gamma rays, he gets angry. It's emotional poison or emotional toxin that begins to flood through your arteries, flood through your glands, flood through your veins. You are just this emotional soup. Now you are in worry mode, which is straight gamma. You are officially stuck in a timeline. You have officially become solid and physicalized, which is why people in this stage, it finds them kind of difficult or challenging to become spiritual or to tap back into their spiritual potential, because now they're worried. They went from concern to worry. And the last stage is stress, which is the end final product. The worst one can be in, mentally and emotionally, which is psychosomatically. The most devastating psychosomatic poison is stress. Or psychospiritual somatic poison is stress. And stress, you know where you at. You in gamma. You're officially a timeline. You are stuck in time. You are a time capsule. The right brain, the mother goddess force have become extremely, absolutely alienated to you, foreign to you. You don't even know that person that played anymore when it was a child. You have no idea the one that was imagining or using their imagination at one time that you once were. You feel I can't use my imagination no more. I have no time to play. I'm concerned about this. I'm thinking about that. I'm worried about that. Therefore, I'm stressed like this. This is how these things happen. But my classes teaches you how to rewind this. People in my classes have came off medication, all kinds of stuff. even in consultations, even if you don't want to take the classes, ask the consultees. I'm going to have all that on the website very, very soon. This is not rocket science, it's common sense. But you have to have cultivated a mind, because once you cultivate a mind, what I'm saying becomes like ABC. It becomes Gerber food. It's very simple to understand. But it's not about attaining understanding. It's about applying what you understand and getting the wisdom from it, from the knowledge or gnosis that you now attain or obtain. Keep this in mind. We all come from the mother's heartbeat first. First, your mother laid you on her heart, first and foremost, right? Right. So this is why we take on the mother side of the brain first, the right brain, creativity, intuition, as well as imagination, as well as grace and receptivity or reception. We were willing to receive. This is also part of manifestation. It's another conversation. So this is why we take on the mother side of the brain first, the right brain hemisphere, the creative, intuitive grace, which is our primal state of being. Creativity, grace, and intuition is your most primal state of being, the very foundation of you. So if you're not being that right now in this mode, then you know why you are where you are. It's not hard to figure out. And that beat of love, nurture, and protection from the mother beats throughout our whole body and sculpts the inner mold of our being, which creates the beginning chemistry, which creates the beginnings of all of our chemistries. Whether it was your mother or your mother wasn't there, whether it was your aunt, if your aunt wasn't there, whether it was your older sister, if it wasn't your older sister, it was your grandmother, or it was a foster parent, whoever, that put you on her chest, or it could have been the nurse at the hospital, or I forgot what you call that lady that's at the house, the something mother, surrogate, I don't know, not the surrogate mother, the something, you know what I'm talking about, I just can't remember at the moment. But these are the things that beat begins to mold and create the very chemistries of our beginnings as an infant, as a baby. Keep this in mind and heart. Your beta state, which is active thinking, as an adult, this is something to understand. Your beta state, which is your active thinking, because as we get older, we think, right? We get more, as we get more in our experience, we begin to think. We have to use our thinking powers. Your beta state can possibly clear a path for you back to your theta state, which is your relaxation and creativity. Because once you start thinking, you say, okay, I got to get back there, because that's where I feel most comfortable. That's where I was most peaceful at. That's where I was most blissful at. I was more creative as a child. I used more imagination as a child. I miss playing. I want to play with life. I miss playing in life. So that thinking can get you back, that beta state can get you back to that theta state, which is deep relaxation and creativity. And that theta state can resurrect you within your delta state, which is your deep restorative sleep, the eternal sleep, i.e. your baby state of consciousness, your innocence. The next doorway, as you see the picture image on today's video, is the baby Buddha, or the Buddha as a baby, or whatever you want to call it, the baby Buddha. Looking at it in the form of symbology, because the subconscious takes in symbols. His chubbiness is symbolic of a baby's body. His smile is symbolic of a baby's bliss, joy, and happiness. The word Buddha or Buddha is the word Ba-da, or the ancient pronunciation Ba-da. Ba meaning soul, Da meaning darkness. So Buddha is Ba-da, which means soul, darkness, or dark night of the soul, or hidden light. This is what Buddha means. The word baby, when broken down with an ancient I and pronounced with an ancient tongue, is actually Ba-ba, which means soul, soul, or Ba-bati, which means soul ruler or soul ruler, because the pharaohs were called Nesut Biti, land ruler, nature ruler, overseer. Biti means ruler in a way of understanding, because there's a few different meanings to it, but overall, let's just keep it in context with today's video. It means ruler. Ba is, of course, the soul. So ba, bi, ba, bati means soul ruler. As a matter of fact, as the soul ruler or solar ruler, babies first lay on their back. This is why babies first lay on their back as the soul ruler or the solar ruler, because they're supposed to be only looking at the sky or the solar system. That's why babies lay on their back, because they're looking up at the solar system, because they're the solar ruler. So you look up at the sky, the solar system, the universe, viewing nothing but pure potential, which is once again the clearing or the purity or the innocence or the transparency of the first chakra or the first sekara. Are supposed to be viewing nothing but pure potential, not toys or physical objects, so that their spiritual faculties are enhanced first before their human functions begin to develop. The baby Buddha is very subliminal and symbolic of a deep gnosis, disguised as an identity, cloaked as entity, but to be understood as nothing but energy, as well as principle. Also keep in mind, the word infant is subliminally the word infinite. And that which is infinite is energy. Next door. Amayas. What happens inside the human body when we laugh? Because you see the body, the baby laughing, the Buddha laughing, the baby Buddha's laughing. What happens inside our body when we laugh? When we laugh, gland secretions called endorphins and dopamines release from the brain. These are what you call natural painkillers or neural painkillers, natural painkillers, organic painkillers when we laugh. These are what you call numbing agents, as well as pleasure and well-being throughout the respiratory system and the autonomic nervous system. The respiratory system and the autonomic nervous system, which in elementals is the air system and the fire system. Respiratory system being the air, the system of air. The autonomic nervous system being the system of fire. I teach the elementals in my class as well as consultations. So it's an air cooling off or blowing off the fire or blowing out the fire. It all makes sense when you put it all together. Trust me. It is to transform and transport the energy of a nerve. This is what the secretions of the gland secretions of these natural organic painkillers or numbing agents of the body when we laugh. They're there to transform and transport the energy of a nerve into nirvana, or a nirvanic state of being. a blissful state of being, which means a transformation of film to fluid, from schism to one's ism. Laugh is also a contagious intelligence, especially when the laugh is coming from someone within a selfless, authentic moment. A baby. You see babies laugh, you see them, they be laughing mad hard. If they laugh real hard and they start losing their breath and you see their face turn red and they just can't stop laughing, that makes you laugh. It's contagious. That contagion is on purpose. That's why we automatically begin to laugh when we see babies laughing. Why? Because that's the grace of fluid nirvanic energy, moving transparently from one soul body to the next. From one soul body to the next. Turning one individual to the next graceful and blissful, invisible and untouchable intelligence. This is the intelligence, love, care, and compassion of the Great Mother, passing her divine grace through all of her young beings and cosmic offsprings, me and you. That domino effect feeling is literally her touch, which in turn is our joy. The effect of joy and happiness produces a numbing and absent effect of the ego, personality, identity, image, label, title, and position of humanity and the human condition. This kills the seriousness of life. The presence of joy creates respectful distance between the senses and the sciences. The senses and the sciences. This is what the joy, the laugh, and bliss of the blissfulness and joyfulness of laughter creates a distance between our senses and our sciences, between the what was and the what is, between realism and reality. One profound example of this understanding is in a movie called Cabin in the Woods. When these Asian kids are laughing when they try to get a demon or a monster or a creature in the middle of their classroom, probably in Japan or Korea or something. It's a movie, Cabin in the Woods. Most of y'all seen it. If y'all remember that part where the Asian kids were in a circle and they were all holding hands and they were laughing in a circle with the demon or the monster or the creature in the middle, and he wasn't penetrating their fear. They weren't fearing him. They were in a celebration, in a joyful, laughing, blissful commune with each other, singing in a sing-along that began to destroy the monster or the creature that was circled in the middle. And then it disappeared and turned into this friendly frog that they placed in their hand and gave it a name. And they all jumped for joy. This is what happens. The ego or the monster, the creature is symbolic of the ego, the personality, the identity. You can laugh it away. Not hysterically and insanely, but there is a mutual spot that it can be laughed away with joy and bliss and laughter. Divine laughter from the mother's touch, from the mother's grace. The divine mother's grace. From the divine goddess. The next doorway is a baby's innocence. Innocence matures and enhances one's inner sense. Caught that? Innocence matures and enhances one's inner sense. When we lose our innocence and become alienated from our inner sense, we become victim to the outer sense and the outer senses. In other words, we literally turn our primal nature inside out, against us and not in our favor. This is what we literally do when we turn our innocence against us. We literally alienate ourselves from our inner sense, just losing our innocence. Becoming your innocence again, or returning back to your innocence again, because you definitely can do so, no matter what your situation was, is equivalent to being your own baby. So when you return back to your innocence, it's literally you being your own baby. When you become your own baby, you become your own parents as well. And all parents feel they must provide for their baby. So when this happens, you literally begin providing for yourself by literally creating your own experience and your own reality. In relation to the understanding of manifestation, this is also a part of the knowledge of the given or the being given, which is in my last video. I touched upon it. Is also a part of the knowledge of the given or being given without the modern day manifesting application of request and desire. How we request and we desire something. We've been taught this modern day manifestation, but like I told people, what about if you didn't have to request and desire? What about if you can just be given something? How do you get back to that state of being given things? This is the baby understanding, the innocent understanding. As a baby, you were given things. You were given a bottle. You were given a hug. You were given a kiss. You were given love. You were given nurture. You were given everything without asking for a damn thing. Getting back to that state, returning back to that vibration is the whole point of this conversation. This is also part of the knowledge of the given or being given without the modern day manifesting application of request and desire. An ancient quote from the god Shiva was, "No mother, no father. I washed them out of me." This is an ancient quote from Shiva, the god Shiva. This means you have become what is known in mythology as the chaos being, the one who births and rebirths their self constantly over and over again. The one who now assembles, disassembles, and reassembles self. When it comes to the occult, the understanding of the word parent or both words, apparent, like a parent, is really the word apparent, like the word apparently, meaning seemingly, meaning not really here nor there. This is what parent is. Parent comes from the word apparent. Apparent means apparently. Apparently means seemingly. Seemingly means kind of there, but not really there. This is what your parent is, including you if you're a parent to your child. Know your purpose, know your divine space. Know what things really are from an occult mind and a metaphysical eye. It is really something which resides, if you're not there, then that means it's really something which resides within. This parent or this parenting is really something, a force which resides within self. Not as two on the outside somewhere. In other words, you become the one in order to find the two externally. You become the baby to see the parents outside. In other words, you become the one in order to find the two externally. And when you understand the two externally, the two then become the one internally. Understand the process, the flipperoo. I'm going to leave it there for now at the moment. I have a few consultations I booked today. And I'm a kid to that at the moment. Let me see if I'm going to squeeze one more in. It's going to be a quick part 2 to this. I'll probably finish after my consultation today. But you already know how this goes. I'll see y'all next time. I'll see you guys in class tomorrow. I may do a part 2 video to this, but I just want to leave you guys with that to marinate at the moment. Write some notes down, take things down, and I'll be right back. Don't forget to visit asyouare.com. I appreciate y'all donating to the Cash App. I do this for y'all as well as I do it for myself. All is all, anything is everything. As you all.